Uh-oh.
What's uh-oh?
They did it. It did it again. We are we're on the wrong channel.
Oh no.
Yeah, so thousands of people are over at the other channel.
The one we just left?
No.
We can be fashionably late.
I was gonna say, do you want me to send a message to the group?
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Go ahead and do that.
All right.
And tell them to come over. Shoot. And now we're talking like this on this one. So this is
anytime you use a new program, this is going to happen.
Exactly. Demoing without a net, literally.
Okay. So we're into
anytime you use a new program.
Do you want me to bring them to this link, or do you have the link that I should put in chat?
This is the link. I'm gonna put it in private chat right here.
Although, oddly enough,
wait
a minute. What channel is this on? I think they're seeing it. Oh no, that's weird. They're not. Okay. All right. The link is in chat. Got it. Thank you.
Well, this will be for posterity.
How many technical people does it take to do a webcast?
No, it's actually quite easy. I just got it wrong. Okay, Chico Crypto, it's good to see you, man.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, a lot of people waiting in the other link. Yay. I'll try to, let me see if I can add another one. No.
To make it really complex, we're doing it like on two live streams.
We were going to do it. We were going to do it correctly on the one, but let me see if I can add this. I don't think I can. Baseline protocol.
We just had to restream it. Get it?
Yeah.
That was bad.
Okay. I mean, it's okay to be fashionably late too if we want to try to figure out how to get over to the other link.
Yeah, I've been on with technical support with Restream, and it doesn't want to. It just doesn't want to.
So I just put the YouTube chat in the original YouTube channel, and people are coming in here. You can see Mahmet, Gunny, others are coming through.
Okay, well, I guess we're here. We're going to stay here, and maybe someday YouTube will allow us to prune the front piece. So, I'll tell you what, we'll start with this. Hey everybody, this is John Wolpert. We're here at the Baseline Show. Brand new format. We had a little bit of a glitch this morning with getting to the right YouTube channel, but I hope you're all feeling very ready for the Baseline Show. This is a very special one. Here with some very special friends. We have Chico Crypto on from the famous Chico Crypto channel. And hey Chico Crypto.
What's
good
up?
To see you.
Great to be here. Great to finally get to stream with you guys and talk about the Baseline protocol, Base Ledger, and all the offerings you guys are spinning up in the lab.
Right on. I think we're getting a bunch of people coming from the other channel that was erroneously set up. And I'm really sorry, Chico, that we couldn't figure out the way to link up to your channel. That was I'll have to try that next time.
Yeah, next time. There will always be a next time, so no worries. I'm actually just posted the link in the stream, and people are going to probably start jumping on over to this one.
Sweet. We have, I'll show everybody that here's the chat overlay from YouTube. So there's lots of stuff going on. No sound. Ruh-roh. No sound. Can you all hear us?
I hope they can.
My
Yep, we
private
got sound.
key
All
is
right.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, great.
We're here.
So yeah, everybody, it's good to see you. We have our panel of illustrious guests here. We have Kyle Thomas, who's going to tell you all about Base Ledger today. We've got Stefan and Martin over from Unibright, also talking about Base Ledger and Unibright. We got our very own Mark Haddle and Nick Kritikos and Tyler Colvard. We've got the whole gang here. Hey, we got Samrat as well. Samrat Kishore from the Baseline India show. And we've got Noam Epple from Morpheus. This format only allows us to do 10 people at a time. So we've got a whole bunch of people sort of waiting in the wings. And anyway, it's good to see you all. I guess let's get right to it. Chico Gripto, you've got a bunch of questions for the team about Baseline, Base Ledger, and maybe we can just hop right in.
All right. Well, one of the biggest questions I believe everyone has on their mind is the difference between, the protocol baseline and the offering that's coming out in collaboration with Provide and Unibright, the Base Ledger. So let's start that off. What's the big differences between the two?
Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, first of all, we're very happy and proud today to have announced our Base Ledger testnet today, and it's the first public network tailor-made for storing baseline proofs. So it's a real product enterprises can use, and enterprise customers can make use of it to access the baseline possibilities. So it means the protocol laid out the ideas, and now we have a first implementation together with the Provide stack that enterprises can use to make live use cases following the baseline pattern.
Yeah, and to add to that a little bit, was well said, Martin, and also very proud of what we've built together and happy to be here today to share it. So the Provide stack has been sort of this production grade stack that's been working towards being compliant with and helping develop the baseline draft specification. And really that's been in like a production quality state for some time. And we're working on buttoning it up even further, and then adding Base Ledger to that stack, adding a consensus mechanism to that stack really enhances the security of Provide privacy, the thing that stores the Merkle trees of where essentially where the baseline proofs go. So Base Ledger, adding that to the existing Provide stack really just enhances the security of the whole offering.
That's awesome, guys. Well, one thing I know the community, really wanted to know was basically how is Base Ledger, now that it's out, how is Base Ledger going to work with the Ethereum mainnet? How is Ethereum being used in the context of the Base Ledger?
Yeah, so that obviously UBT, I'll jump in there. UBT obviously lives on mainnet. It's an ERC20 token that was born and will stay on Ethereum. And so essentially we've at this point, we've written a smart contract that allows you to deposit and withdraw from a configured ERC20 token contract on a few different networks, obviously working towards mainnet in Q1. That's basically where we're at today. And then, so you deposit your UBT into the contract, and then the network, there's essentially a bridge on Base Ledger that determines which if a deposit is essentially allowed, it adjusts the voting power of the validator that has been or the staker. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I mean, it's not only the connection of UBT between living on Ethereum and then being utilized within Base Ledger. Of course, it's also the use case of Base Ledger itself, storing baseline proofs and then rolling them up into Ethereum. When we published the white paper, we described Base Ledger as a architecture of architectures that can act as a layer 2 or even as a layer 2.5 or whatever fantasy names you come up with. But the basic idea is that in
frequent usage of base ledger proofs are rolled up into Ethereum and anchored in the mainnet, depending on the use case.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about proofs, what necessarily do you mean? Do you mean like business data?
No.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I mean, the most important thing about Baseline is about the idea behind Baseline is that there is no business relevant data on any blockchain. This is nothing special to Base Ledger or Ethereum. It's special to the Baseline protocol and to the standard. Is that the actual business data is communicated off-chain, and then you put the proofs of this synchronization between two business partners. That's what you use the blockchain for. So this does not change with Base Ledger, of course, utilizing the protocol and the standard. This is a very important thing also for all the customers that want to make use of blockchain technology, is that they don't have to worry about sensitive data ending up on chain.
Yeah, and it's even one step further taken. So with Base Ledger, even the metadata is obfuscated, so to say. So you can't even see which party is doing business with whichever other party. So this is obfuscated too. And this was one of the main ideas of building Base Ledger. So to have the missing link that you couldn't do store proving and obfuscating data so easily in existing chains. And that's why we built Base Ledger in the first place. And of course, for collecting all the proofs, because in business use cases, you have many proofs and you couldn't possibly store them all on Ethereum or wherever. It's much too expensive and it would take much too long. So you need this cheap and fast thing between where you can bundle up all the proofs and then you roll them up to Ethereum. And that's, I guess we missed that point from the provide perspective. Base Ledger can even act as a collector of proofs itself. We called it CK rollups or CK square rollups. So it's a funny name, but it's all about where to store proofs efficiently and when to roll them up to Ethereum.
Awesome. Well, that actually leads into one of my questions. You're talking about it. So can you explain ZKPs, the zero knowledge proofs, in the context of the Base Ledger, and how are they scaled? I know, ZKPs on the mainnet of Ethereum, not very scalable, cost a lot. So how are they scaled with the Base Ledger, and how are they used?
So the idea is if you have, let's say you have five work steps per workflow, and you have 1,000 of those, that's, it's 5,000 proofs, wait, what was it? I said 5,000 proofs. 1,000 of those would be exit proofs if the final work step is an exit proof. So the idea is all of those proofs would get written to Base Ledger. And so 1,000 of those exited workflows could be like the procure to pay process. We want to do that essentially. We want to aggregate all those proofs and provide privacy, having written all 5,000 of them, all 5,000 proofs to Base Ledger. And we want to do that, say, 100 times. And that would be essentially equate into 100,000 proofs. And that's sort of the tiers where we would cut a roll-up proof. We would cut it twice, essentially, one for each 1,000 proof bundle, essentially, and then again for 100 each time. Sorry, I got a little bit of feedback. And so then once we accumulated up to 100,000 of those, cutting another one, that would be destined for the mainnet. So Base Ledger is really adding security along the way for all 100,000 of those workflow exits that could essentially be bundled up into one single transaction on Ethereum. And these numbers, there's still some tuning to be done and some experimentation around the actual size of these batches, if you will. But that's sort of the idea.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things I like most about, when I first saw the Base Ledger idea, I wasn't sure, but after a while I was like, okay, so the way this is working, there's two things I kind of like about it. One is that I can, in fact, I almost think that this might become the sort of lazy developers, even if you're in an internal project, you could see yourself kind of going, well, Base Ledger's out there and it's, pennies to drop proofs there. I'll just use that for my internal synchronization or integration project, even though you don't have to. Most internal projects don't would typically use an internal like Kafka or something. So that I could see that happening. The other thing I like about it is that even if the price of say UBT goes up or down, it's reverse geared, right? So that if I'm an IT manager and I want to use this as a service for my synchronization, the proofs that I'm dropping are not going up or down based on the cost of the price of some token.
Another reason why the roll-up proofs can be expensive on Ethereum is because they do internal token transfers, and like there's a lot of internal token transactions that happen there. With sort of and we could do that certainly with the roll-ups that we're discussing here, but the idea is that you would not necessarily need internal token transactions to happen inside of the roll-up proof that has 100,000 exits inside of it. So that's another reason why these would be a lot cheaper.
Awesome. Well, as we know, the Ethereum mainnet is getting a little expensive, so you want to have the least amount of transactions on there as possible.
Yeah, but what you really want is, and we insisted this was absolutely required for the baseline protocol specification, was that the proofs are all backed and anchored. The Merkle trees are anchored to to a large public super tamper resistant blockchain like Ethereum. So Ethereum is doing its job, and we're doing but we're being efficient with where everything's doing its own right job. But we got a little feedback there. Somebody's got their thing on. And yeah, so I mean, I think that's a really important part of this, is that you've got databases doing their job, you've got Base Ledger doing its job, you got the Ethereum mainnet in this case doing its job.
So they're all coming together in the right trifecta to do exactly what is needed for enterprises.
Yeah, I mean, if you might not want, you might be a little worried about, even cool as Base Ledger may be, you might be worried it's a smaller chain, you might be worried about tampering, but because all the proofs are back to the mainnet, to the Ethereum mainnet, you're less worried about that. But you don't have to worry about cost, and you don't have to worry about public exposure and all, and also some government projects wouldn't love, say, Ketchak and other things that you would be forced to do in directly to Ethereum.
Yeah, I think everything that we are building, or that we have been building, or that the community has been building around Baseline is all intermediate steps to make the gap between a public blockchain and a company running, for example, SAP systems a little bit smaller. So what we're doing is to help them in all terms of, for example, cost stability was mentioned, but also the integration topic and how it's technically done, that it's all based on a standard, that it doesn't change like every 2 weeks and all the development team has to do everything all over again. So all these tools, so to say, that we're building on behalf of the Baseline protocol, be it the provide stack, or be it a Base Ledger, or be it SAP integration tools, all of them help to make it easier for actual enterprises to use public blockchain in their integration processes.
So one thing I know some people are confused about is exactly how fiat currencies can be used, but it's settled in UBT tokens, on the Base Ledger. Could you explain how that works a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So technically, it's very important, just to avoid misunderstandings, that there are no tokens or tradable cryptocurrencies on Base Ledger itself. Base Ledger is a decentralized architecture for storing proofs, not for running cryptocurrencies. So UBT will still be ERC20 and live in the Ethereum mainnet. And what we actually do is estimate the, let's call it, cost of a transaction within Base Ledger. And at the moment that a customer wants to put it on Base Ledger, it, for example, uses tools like provide payments to instantly convert a transaction cost in fiat into the needed UBT, which will be translated into the corresponding Base Ledger, let's call it gas. So we'll have a direct implementation here, also taking away the the hurdles for enterprises to deal with tokens or custody issues themselves. That's the basic idea. Again, in the spirit of what I mentioned before, make things easier for the enterprises to actually use it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really the key. Is we've got to make this safe and effective for enterprises and for companies that are worried about security and all the things that they need to worry about. And I think Base Ledger has done a good job of eliminating all the rest of those issues while still remaining public and effectively kind of an L2 on the Ethereum public mainnet, rather than going to some kind of private, permission server or solution like that, which would just perpetuate the same old problem again, which is, silos on silos on silos.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it was important for us to build it as a public network, so there is no big hurdle for customers or whoever wants to join the network to do so. So there is no setup costs involved. I mean, the infrastructure is just there, and we even have the tools to integrate ERP systems to it. So it was a very important decision to not make it a private chain where you have to set up costly infrastructure and maintain it.
So, Chico, Crypto, we were discussing last night when we were rehearsing that we have a new video in the works.
Oh,
that describes and explains all this stuff. And I'll say for the audience that we don't have this finished yet. It was supposed to be done for October's ETH Atlanta event, ETH Atlanta, which hopefully everybody's going to go to. Yeah, you can go to atl.com for that. And but so we're gonna release the actual video in all of its beautiful animated glory later. But we thought just for this special occasion we would run it now in its animatic form and get a taste of this, and also to be able to really get the story straight. So shall we?
Preview. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, 3 minutes. 1, 2, 3. Everybody on the stream, we're going to go silent for 3 minutes.
Look there. Know what that is? Why, it's a brand new piece of information. Hi there, little one. I think I'll call you Bit. Bit is important. Bit represents real value, real things. We better put you somewhere safe, little Bit. There you go, into your own secure information management system run by the company that loves you. It used to be that Bit could live its whole life comfortably inside its own walled garden inside one company. Today, Bit's real power is how it's shared between different companies, letting them automate and synchronize their operations to produce goods and services together. For Bit to do its job, it needs to make sure that everyone has the same bits. Somehow, every copy of Bit needs to be in sync with the others. But here's the thing about bits. It's easy to change one without changing the other copies running on other machines. When this happens, bad things can happen. Production grinds to a halt. Payments get held up in disputes. Partnerships fall apart. Trust is smashed, and fortunes are ruined. Now, big companies with a lot of cash to spare have known for years how to keep Bit from running amok. But they all involved either making one machine the primary source of truth or spending capital on dedicated integration machines. All these methods created more information silos to manage. What a mess! Poor little Bit. A different approach is to keep bits in sync in a loosely coupled way. All the bits have to do is subscribe to the same spot on a common bulletin board, and they can be sure they're updating together as they should. A special cryptographic symbol called a proof is placed on the board so that Bit can stay in sync without exposing any information to anyone else that may have access. Done right, it's impossible for observers to know who is depositing proofs on the bulletin board, or even to discover rates of actual activity. There's nothing new about this design pattern, but until now, companies had to spend capital to set up these proprietary bulletin boards for every new set of partners. That's expensive. Unlike those old bespoke bulletin boards, the public blockchain is supremely tamper-resistant, which means Bit doesn't have to worry about someone changing or deleting the proof it's using to stay in sync. And remember, it does this without putting any actual information on any kind of blockchain. The industry standard for using the public blockchain this way is called the Baseline Protocol, and you can learn more about it here at baseline-protocol.org. Go there now and learn how to both liberate and protect your little bits.
Nice. Now that is a good way.
Awesome stuff.
I like this.
Love it.
Yeah, right. That was done by Andrea Lee, and we found a great voiceover artist who does that 50s style Dexter's Laboratory style voiceover.
I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to watch it Saturday morning with a bowl of cereal.
Feel like a kid again.
Well, thanks for indulging us on that. I hope everybody got a little bit out of that. And maybe that can set the stage for really something we want to do now. And Chico and I were talking about it last night, was to do a bit of Code Don't Lie session with Kyle and team. Kyle, you can share your screen if you'd like, and if you don't have to, but you can. Or
I'm happy to
do that. Ooh,
does this work? Can you see it?
I believe we can. Hold on for a second. I'll
got to find the right screen setting.
There we go.
You've got Kyle. Yeah, Kyle with, there we go.
There we go. Okay, so Chico Crypto, you can ask some questions about this, and maybe Kyle can take us through and actually show us how easy it is for, say, an enterprise developer or anybody running a business that needs to sync stuff to get going. I mean, this is really the thing, is making, up until now, you needed to be sort of Andreas Freund, our good friend, somebody who was really good at systems and getting into real code. Now you should be able to do this fairly easily, right?
Yeah. The idea here is to set the stage for a really productive hackathon at ETH Atlanta. I think we want to, make it super easy and let all sorts of enterprise folks feel comfortable building baseline stuff, building new baseline projects at the ETH Atlanta Hackathon, October 1st through 3rd. ETHATL.com to sign up for that hackathon. So I can go into it. I'll start off by saying we actually have 2 test nets running today, as of today. Martin and Stefan and team, they have worked on a test net called Lakewood, and it was based on Cosmos SDK. And there's some really good learnings and takeaways from that. And as a result of that effort, and that Cosmos SDK test net has 8 validators running on it. As a result of that effort, we created Base Ledger Core. So github.com/baseledger/baseledger-core. And also it's notable as part of this release today, Provide has open sourced our vaults, in-chain, ident, and privacy repos. That is all fully open source now as a result of what we've been working on here with Unibright and Consensus in the Baseline community. So really excited to surface all of that work and make it part of BRI1 proper. Excuse me. So if you look at github.com/baseledger/baseledger-core, you see this repo here and the standard, we haven't audited this code yet. There's also another repo that's worth looking at called Base Ledger Contracts, I believe, yes. And so that's where the staking, there's one contract in here called staking.sol. It's worth looking at. It has the deposit and withdrawal methods that I mentioned before. I won't stay too long there. So there's a quick start that sort of shows you how to get started with the Base Ledger Core. We're calling this the Peachtree testnet. I wanted to call it the MARTA testnet, sort of like how you've got like the Ethereum Coven and Robston and I believe those are all named after substations. But Stefan was like, it sounds a little bit too much like Martin. So let's call it the Peachtree testnet. So I said, that's a great name. Let's call it the Peachtree testnet.
And you wanted to run.
We still took station names, so You stay
It's still a station name. No, MARTA. I was actually a little bit off with MARTA because MARTA is like the entire transit authority and not just one station. So it made sense. So this is the Peachtree testnet, and it has it only has one validator at the moment. We're looking at opening up the ability for folks to apply or potentially become validators as early as around the ETH Atlanta Hackathon as well. So get in touch with us about that, and you'll essentially when you become a validator, there's a deposit, there's a contract that you call. Basically with your beneficiary address, which can be essentially that's the address where your stake rewards will go. A validator, which is the validator on the base ledger network, and then the amount of your stake.
Not sure who's doing that.
So basically, you can well, hold on. It won't actually error out. It'll work. So my MetaMask was saying there would be an exception thrown, but at any rate, so if you look at the quick start, you want to install Golang, you want to build the project from source.
Everybody, hit your mute buttons, friends. I think that's you, Mark. I got him. Go ahead.
Okay, there. So we actually created a lightweight fork of Tendermint for Base Ledger, and it currently requires you to use a provide vault service, which was again an open source component. Is now open source. So you use the provide vault to create an N25519 key pair, which will be used to essentially sign transactions as a validator. You will not have to use that. You will not have to have a vault account in order to run Base Ledger, just in general. Like if you want to run a full node, you won't have to have a vault. But if you want to be a validator, you will need to use a vault. And it's just simply to ensure really high security on the network. So then once you sort of set that up, you can run a full or validator node and deposit UBT in the appropriate staking contract. And you can see here, there's a list of the token contract. That's the mainnet UBT address. Obviously, there's no staking contract. This is not on mainnet, so it's not there. We are only supporting ROPS at the moment. So there's the token contract address for what's called UBTR, UBT ROPS and test UBT basically, and the staking contract address that I interacted with before. So
you can jump on the testnet and start testing out the staking right now.
You cannot test out staking yet because
okay.
but you can't. You'll be able to around ETH Atlanta. So that it is live, but yeah, you'll be able to test it out.
I mean, also to give some context to that and also some explanation why there are two testnets. I mean, they are, of course, if you run a testnet, you want to test things and you want to learn about things before going productive, and there are many subjects that we want to test with the testnet. For example, the behavior of the net in different validation power settings. That's why Lakewood also will test out some, let's call them extreme scenarios, where perhaps like 50% of the validators are not reachable for some time and then join back the net and all these things. Lakewood will also most probably be restarted from time to time, exactly because we're doing these kind of tests. And Peachtree is more like the, let's call it, the path to the productive version of Base Ledger, where we, of course, will test the inclusion of staking contracts. But the metrics on the staking, for example, how many validator nodes will there be in the productive net? How much is the minimum amount you have to stake before becoming a validator? What can the different validators offer proxy stakers? Perhaps there's even some competition between different validators that offer proxy staking. All these things will be explored during the testnet phase. That's why we're having that phase. So bear with us in terms of what is the final number on Mark 1, 2, or 3. The testnet just went live like some hours ago, and this is what's about to be tested.
Yeah, but I guess it's important to mention as well that we don't only open source the code, but in terms of governance, We are in a transition phase with the mainnet coming up in Q1. We want to have set up a more decentralized thing, like in a foundation or association, something where the community can engage not only in coding, but in governance as well. So the Base Ledger network is in no means is it closed or controlled by any party. It moves into something much more decentralized, and that's extremely important and extremely fitting to the approach.
Yep. Thanks for that. Awesome. So essentially, looking back at sort of how to run a node, these instructions should be pretty straightforward. In terms of getting there, and it shows you how to set up a vault, and then you can use that vault to run a full node. This is what these parameters look like this is what they look like if you fill them out. And if you run it here, the network will join the existing. You'll just start running the blockchain, and this is why you want to block Explorer, because it scrolls very fast. Yes. So we think we've made things. Yeah.
A question. How technical do you have to be to get set up on it? Could a guy like me who never written code in my life, could I get set up on the testnet?
Yeah, we're making a one-liner it's actually gonna be provide base ledger node start. If you could run that, you're gonna be able to run the node. So it's gonna be you won't have to fill all these out. They'll essentially have same defaults that just do this, like they just start running the node for you. Based on very same defaults. So the idea is
where can people find that? Because they're going to want to know.
Docs.provide.services is for that one, but also docs.baseledger.net. Both of those will be a good place to start. So we'll have a base ledger on docs.provide.services, and also.
So my path
docs.baseledger.net
into base ledger happiness and fulfillment is go to baseledger/testnet, baseledger.net/testnet, and then there's a link on there. Let's take everybody right through the happy path, right? So here I am. I saw the press release. Okay, now I'm going to
click on the base ledger GitHub.
All right.
You want to click on base ledger GitHub, and you want to clone this. Once you clone the base ledger core repo, there's not an npm yet. Right now, you have to follow these steps that are in the README.
Okay, this is to run a node, right? So yeah,
this is to run a node. Yeah.
I mean, that's a very. Sorry, Kyle. Just as an important remark, I mean, being part of Base Ledger does not necessarily mean to set up a full technical node to store baseline proofs. Because if you're not an enterprise with an SAP system, I mean, you still could be part of Base Ledger storing your baseline proofs there. But what's easily doable is to equip a validator with the needed staking power. By supporting him. So, I mean, if Chico is asking the question, the answer would be you can easily, as soon as the one-liner is there, become a technical part of Base Ledger. But as soon as the mentioned staking contracts are working on Robston and later on mainnet, you can also become part of Base Ledger by providing the needed validation power. As a proxy staker. So these are the two paths where people can actually engaged, and if it's all under that let's say open source understanding and backed by something that establishes standard, and it's not a closed community that builds something and has the big button to switch it off again, then this actually all makes sense, and that's what we are heading for.
So if I'm a like an IT person and I just want to use Base Ledger, to me it kind of it would feel a little bit like a SaaS. Right, like a service where I'm gonna connect to it, I'm gonna drop proofs on it, and
actually by default, John, the provide stack that you connect to, if you just run a Base Ledger node by itself, you actually are connecting out of the box to a hosted provide stack completely in the cloud,
Provide and not some other offering that's baseline compliant. And right now, Provide is the one that's fully.
If you run Base Ledger, you're using Provide.
Yeah. So you're gonna start up Provide. Let's go take them through that.
Well, that's what I'm saying is you don't have to start Provide. If you're running Base Ledger, you can leverage the Provide stack that is running in our hosted environment. You can also run the full stack, the full Provide stack like you would in BRI1, and also you'll be able to just add Base Ledger to that existing stack. So it can feel like a lot like a hosted environment. Or if you're someone like Kona that's already running the full Provide stack, and you decide, hey, I want to run a Base Ledger node too, you can just add that Base Ledger node to your existing stack.
All right. So what would I do? And I'll turn it back to Chico. What would I do to if I wanted to use Base Ledger and Provide on a project right now? I want to synchronize my receivables, or I've got a customer and I want to make sure my invoices are the same as their receivable or their payables.
The first,
what would I do?
You're going to
want happy path.
You're going to come to, if you want to use Base Ledger and develop locally, you're going to want to come to, as we were discussing, Base Ledger repo, clone the repo, do these things in the README, and then you'll probably want to build some sort of circuit, some number of circuits that represent your workflow.
And this is, what's the easy button for that? Like, I don't know anything about circuits yet. I'm an IT person. I want to,
The easy button for that is again, I think ETH Atlanta is sort of the easy button for that. I think what you want to do is you want to come to ETH Atlanta and you want to build, like, there's a couple of ideas we have to sort of seed for developers. But yeah, one is to contribute to one or more proxy staking sort of implementations. That's one idea for Base Ledger, and then the other for baselining itself. There's many ideas that we have that we're going to seed for the community, and also Bounty in and around, building on the baseline, using the baseline protocol.
Is there a simple circuit right now? Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, just to add to that, I mean, the easy button, let's say some weeks or months from now, if we are all completely honest, then all this baseline stuff should just work in the background, and Base Ledger now fulfills the standard. But if you really ask for the easy button from a customer perspective, most probably they never will, and they never want to leave their used system anyway. So sure. We're all working on getting that easy button closer to the system they are using every day. So the easy button will be an SAP button on a purchase order, where you can set a check mark on, should this purchase order be baselined, yes or no? And as soon as you hit the check mark, then you have the setting of the SAP connecting to the Provide stack, and the Provide stack storing the proofs in Base Ledger and exiting into Ethereum. I mean, if we would...
Oh yeah, the user would never know. Yeah, the user...
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, if we had to do all this educational stuff with every client, then we did a bad job. So of course we're in the progression of making the easy button coming closer to the end user screen, just with every month of work.
You will hear about that.
Yeah, I think there's two different easy buttons. There's the user easy button, and then there's the developer easy button. We're talking about the developer easy button right now. So but I think, yeah. So you go to Base Ledger testnet, the website. You get to the GitHub repo and you clone it. So it's not quite as easy as it will be, say, in October. Is that right?
That's fair, yeah.
Okay. All right, Chico, it's all yours. Sorry.
All right. Right. Well, regarding that, you're talking about, receivables, being baselined, storing the proofs and everything. So could you give me an example of, enterprise DeFi in the context of Base Ledger, an example of a use case with, a business, storing their data?
I think it's the same as it always has been. If you want to look at that flagship opportunity with Kona, right? Like the procure to pay process with Kona, it flows through SAP, and it flows through Base Ledger, and it's anchored on Ethereum. I mean, all of that, everything we've been building. That's another really, I think, good thing that we can say here about all the stuff that we've been building. It all builds on itself. It all builds on the previous thing that we've done. It all works together. And so, like, we're not like going here and forking in different directions. We're always building towards the same toward the same end game, which is baselining, and seeing enterprise DeFi settlement happen on mainnet by way of baseline protocol.
Yeah. So through the baseline protocol and Base Ledger, you're able to create verified multi-party workflows that produce the highest quality digital assets, if you will.
Exactly.
So
And there's some really interesting things that are coming that we probably can't mention now today, but like there's big sources of liquidity that are starting to play in the space around our offering, and the fact that the assets are of higher quality or a very high quality is a big deal to those players.
And I think any of those customers that we're embarking on this journey with are applicable use cases to enterprise DeFi and the liquidity that will ultimately be created there.
Sorry, go ahead.
So a big question I have, especially with Kyle talking about liquidity sources, everyone knows, there's decentralized exchanges, for tokens, do you see, some decentralized marketplaces popping up for some of these enterprise assets, and who's going to be the one to build it? Do you really think it's going to be like the actual companies themselves building it, or do you think it's going to be community members, just regular Joe at home building it?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because it turns out we have another special guest. I'd like to introduce Sonal Patel. Sonal is somebody with a big. All right, so that's your mic, so I muted you. I wasn't sure what that is, but Sonal Patel is the new community leader for Baseline Protocol. She's full time working for Consensus Mesh on making sure that we now go from a state of kind of getting ourselves together to really becoming a professional operation where we have what we call blips. And so, no, because of your audio, I guess I'm going to have to speak for you. I'm sorry about that. You can wave. So we'll be getting something called blips, which are like, if you've heard of Ethereum EIPs, Ethereum improvement proposals. Now we'll be doing blips, baseline improvement proposals. And Sonal will make sure that folks like Kyle and the rest of the core devs, have a regular way of improving the system and living up to commitments and timelines and deadlines. So we're really going to turbocharge the professionalism of the Baseline community. And Sonal Patel, I wouldn't mess with her. So she's gonna whip us all into shape. And thank you very much, Sonal. Sorry about the audio. I'll turn everybody else's mute back off. Yeah, let's give it one shot. See if it.
I think it was her AirPods.
Let's
actually
give it a try. You want to say hello? Nope, not gonna work. Oh well.
I think it's the AirPods.
It might
be. To answer Chico's question, I am not at liberty to disclose details, but I do know of at least one project, probably more than that, that are looking to build essentially DeFi marketplaces for these assets. Initially invoices and likely others as they become verified through Baseline and Base Ledger.
Awesome.
So, watch this space and come to ETH Atlanta.
Yeah, just to expand to that, Nick, there's multiple financial institutions and DeFi protocols who are actively seeking this new source of liquidity that we're all knocking here, and we couldn't be more excited about it.
So another question I have regarding that, of course there's regular, crypto token, degen DeFi, all this farming, yield farming, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it surged to billions upon billions of dollars. How long, I do think personally in myself, enterprise DeFi will eventually flip it, but how long do you think that, will take for an enterprise DeFi total value locked up in some protocols marketplaces to start competing with the regular crypto token DeFi TVL we see today?
Well, I think they will become one and the same. Go ahead, Nick.
One and the same.
They
not
will.
long.
Yeah, not long. A year, maybe 18 months. We're pushing very fast on this, and you'll likely see, the first shoots and sprouts of this within 6 months, and then I expect it to snowball from there.
So that ties right into my next question: is how does the baseline and base ledger tie together the two? You have crypto over here and you have enterprise out here. They're almost like two silos. So how is the baseline protocol and base ledger breaking down that wall?
Well, I think that it really is two different things, right? You've got to have really good data, and that's a traditional IT thing, and that's what baselining is all about: is making sure that traditional IT is synchronized, that we have good sync. If you don't have good sync, then you have counterparties that don't have the same information. You don't have a very good asset or a token, if you want to tokenize that asset, to turn into any kind of value, and then go and do all the Lego blocks of DeFi on top of that. So DeFi and tokenization and baselining are separate kind of pipelines in the ultimate, goal. You can baseline without going to DeFi. You could DeFi without using baseline. But if I want to buy a physical asset, like an asset or something like a receivable, an invoice, or an NFT, here's a really good example of where an NFT could be baseline. You could take here's my Mona Lisa, right? I've got a bag of ones and zeros that says it's the Mona Lisa. It's the original file. Instead of putting that on IPFS and letting anybody just download it, right? And then somebody buying it for, buying a record in a database called a blockchain for $68 million, which is just bragging rights. They can't assert control over it. They can't assert copyright protection over it. They don't really own the Mona Lisa. They just own a record that says that they paid $68 million. I don't really understand that, to be honest. But what I would understand, what would make sense to me, is you baseline that original file, drop a crypto, the baseline proof on the base ledger for a penny. And then you create it in such a way. Imagine a website that allowed you to say, I'm going to allow 10 children of this original file. And each of those children can have 10 children. And each of those can have 10. And then I'm going to cut it off. So now I have that many prints, effectively. But the original file under zero knowledge is never seen by anybody but its owner, ever. But each of the children can prove, using their baseline proofs, that they are the third grandchild of the original, two layers down. Mm-hmm. So they have lineage, and you can assert property rights over it. So and baselining was a part of that, but then you have the NFT and tokenization that comes after, and you can also then say, everybody that buys one gives some of the money to the original owner.
So coming back to the receivables example, for example, if you're going to buy a receivable, it's between two parties, a buyer and a supplier. You're effectively taking the credit of the buyer into account and buying that receivable. Now, in modern supply chains, that's great, but generally there's multiple links in that chain, right? So if you're going to buy a receivable from someone that's 2 or 3 or even 5 hops down that chain, and you can tie it all the way back to the ultimate buyer and leverage some of their credit rating in order to effectively rate that receivable, it's a much stronger story and a much stronger supply chain.
So I actually see a community member said baseline NFT. Where do I sign? So that would, that would be excellent to see, actually, what John just talked about, to create the first, proof of concept, baseline NFT that does just what you said.
I'm actually, Andreas and I have been talking about, like, we could probably build that like in a weekend, especially with Andreas's math skills, and start dropping those baseline proofs.
And talking about NFTs and how this all comes together, I mean, you could also take John's example further, and when there are like institutions that observe and offer the offering and trading of, let's say, art-related NFTs, then why not giving them the option to run base ledger nodes to sync all the proofs that prove the ownership transfer or the new minting of the next generation of NFTs, depending on the first one. I mean, it's all currently, sometimes I have the feeling in the blockchain space that all these POCs that have been built in 2018 now are somehow coming together, for example, in Baseline, because they now make sense because they do something together. In this case, integration, and the same could happen for NFTs for sure. And why shouldn't Baseline play a vital role in here? I'm very positive on the example and the ideas, for example, that John just gave.
And what you would want before the NFTing is for that to be on a very private data vault. I mean, I could imagine putting it into like your 1Password or into QMD,
put it in the provide vault
or Microsoft SQL Server, right? You could put it on, and so that is or you could smear it across a bunch of different servers, but they're all very private, right? So you could do that. And so this is a great example of where data is for databases. You've got databases doing their job. And through Baseline, you're allowing them to become part of the DeFi and NFT world, but not putting that data on blockchains.
In those processes that we tokenize and synchronize, at the exit of those workflows, we can ultimately exit as a smart contract or as an NFT. So we're going to be at the forefront of onboarding a tremendous amount of enterprise use cases within the Baseline and Baseline protocol and within Base Ledger, from both a smart contract perspective and an NFT perspective within the enterprise place.
Awesome. Well, so, switching gears a little bit from NFTs, we have a couple community questions that I want to answer or ask you guys regarding staking and UBT staking. So Brandon and the Scottish Bull from the Chico crypto community have asked me, how will the mechanics of UBT staking work? That is a big question that's on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah. Okay. Big question. Of course, there are several answers to it. I mean, as outlined in the white paper already some months ago, the idea about staking is not like in a pure financial world where you put something in and you get an interest rate back. That's not the idea of Base Ledger staking. The idea is that you need a stake to run a validator node, and that you get revenue shares and rewards from doing so, because you have to provide a certain service level of your validator node. It has to have a certain uptime, a certain response time, all these things. And for everybody who does it, he qualifies for getting revenue shares of those blocks that he provided the validation for, and rewards. And this will define the mechanism of how many UBT you have to stake and how many UBT you receive on top in these shares and rewards. And as I said before, one idea of the testnet is also to find the exact metrics on that and not to tell them too soon, because we just don't know it yet ourselves. We have to use the testnet also to make all these findings and learnings as well.
Yeah, that's the layer one staking, so to say, for people that are able to run a validator, and there are only certain spots for validators. And as we already outlined, for UBT holders, so to say, they can do proxy staking by connecting to a validator. And our idea is so that all the validators, they can compete and can come up with like different models, different conditions, and so attracting different moods or kinds of people that want to proxy stake UBT. And that's the very big picture idea. As Stefan said about numbers, how much does a validator have to stake? We can tell. How much does a proxy staker needs to stake? Obviously, not so much, I guess, but we'll work on these numbers during the operation of the testnets.
And we also need to work on the opcodes themselves and what those opcodes cost, and that'll also help inform that that as well.
And can you talk more about that? I mean, this idea of reverse gearing. How does how do I know as an IT person how much it's going to cost me to drop a proof on the block on the base ledger?
Because that opcode will literally be denominated in dollars.
Got it. And then the governance
behind the scenes.
Governance will set the price on a normalized basis like any other company would.
That's right.
Exactly, and the same holds true for the portion that will be spread then by revenue share and so on. I mean, that's what Martin referred to earlier, that it currently running the test now, of course, the governance is a provide-right governance, so to say, and it doesn't make sense to have a fully decentralized technical solution if the governance part is not decentralized enough. So this is also part of the next months to come to make the proper proposal for a decentralization of the governance part of Base Ledger as well, to decide exactly on these kind of metrics.
Yeah, it's not on us to decide.
No, it shouldn't be on us. It should be on those that bring governance to the network.
Yeah.
So regarding, that kind of, so will there be an easy wallet, made for not only staking, but also governance decisions? Will there be a wallet, that's created that makes it simple for, the regular user?
I mean, whether it's a wallet, but there will be definitely a solution for using the ERC20 token to stake, to proxy stake and participate in governance decisions. A wallet, I think, is a very, it's too small of a word. I think it's a something.
Well, we have the vaults right now that you have to set up behind the scenes, and so maybe that's an ETH Atlanta project if someone wants to develop some front end to that. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Something everyone can use, of course. This will be made of a lot of easy buttons.
Yeah.
It will only consist of easy buttons.
Easy buttons. Well, regarding easy buttons, I did actually a video a few days ago regarding Chainlink and, the Oracle solution. So there's a lot of people that love Chainlink in my community because I covered them way back in the day, and a lot of people are holders and happy with Chainlink's performance. So is Chainlink being used within the base ledger, and how is it being used if so?
So not today. However, I have a few ideas around random beacons being added to base ledger, and so maybe like every n number of blocks, we inject randomness into a block header of base ledger that can be used for trusted like Plonk setup, multi-party setups for snarks. That's one idea. We'll see if we can bring that to fruition with Chainlink or some other way.
Yeah, I think it's always been obvious, and it's why Chainlink has been involved since the beginning, that at some point when it's not just simple, are we consistent, but rather, work steps that say, if this happens, or if there is this kind of variable, then you're going to have a deterministic input for that. So, whether that's a LIBOR reading or a weather reading or even a clock reading, if all of the systems of record are getting that input from different sources, and they're going to be different, and they're not going to generate the same result, which is going to break the baseline proof. So that's where, as you get more sophisticated circuits and more sophisticated workflows and work steps that have conditional logic on them, you could see how a marketplace of data sources that are validated would be useful.
Okay.
And with more baseline use cases permeating on the edge within like IoT and things of that effect.
Yeah, Chainlink helped a lot on the standard, and they just finished a section in the standard on Oracle usage in the protocol.
Awesome. Well, regarding that, have you guys met Sergey of Chainlink?
Yeah, he's great.
He's a very interesting character. I met him once at a conference at the Solana headquarters about 2 years ago, and he was definitely an interesting character.
Yeah, he was very kind to me. I was laying into him one day on the phone, and he called me up to explain Chainlink to me very nicely, and I was like, "But what about this? And what about that?" And he just calmly answered my questions in a very intelligent way. And at the end, I'm like, I can't be mad anymore. I like this.
and then at the end, he said, "Okay, boomer."
Yeah, then he said, okay. I'm 1 year away from a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer, man. All right.
All right. So another question we actually got from the community, and this comes from a crypto bag. So crypto bags, your question's getting answered. Is there a max number of transactions for the baseline protocol and base ledger?
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
No, that was one of the ideas why we created Base Ledger as a very fast network, only consisting of fewer or low numbers of validators, but therefore being very fast. And then with the technique of rolling up the proofs, there is no real boundary for the number of transactions we can take in and then anchor on Ethereum afterwards.
Awesome. I hope that answers your question, crypto bags. So a lot, a lot.
No limits.
No limits.
Only theoretical limits.
But regarding, max number of transactions, does that come down to the nodes? I mean, the more nodes there are, could it feasibly do more, or does it just have nothing to do with it?
No, it's a trade-off between, it's more like it's not so easy. It can even be like the more nodes you get, the lower is the number of transactions you can process, because there's then the latency between the nodes and they have to communicate here in the consensus mechanism. So it's somewhere in between. There is a sweet spot where you have
for validator
nodes. Yeah, of course, for validator nodes, there's a sweet spot. We are figuring out where you have the most throughput and the most transactions, but it's not said that this means to have the most or as many validators as possible.
No, but in terms of users and participating nodes that are not validators, this does not affect the speed of the blockchain itself.
You can have, that's.
So another question we have is from Josh Denboer. He asked, how's the identity project going with the BSN? If you can, let us in on any more information regarding that.
Yeah, I would say come to ETH Atlanta to learn more about what we're doing with BSN. It's pretty exciting. That's pretty much all we can really say right now. But come to ETH Atlanta.
Come to ETH Atlanta. I'm going to be there, you guys, so I would come.
That's exciting.
Woo-hoo. Yes.
Looking forward to it.
I am too. So another one, which you're probably going to say, come to ETH Atlanta. This one comes from 00H92. And he said, can you drop any information on what's going on with the deployment involving Naviporta and Concertful?
I'll defer to Stefan and Martin on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Concertful, first of all, basically an SAP related team that are also part of building our what we call the Unibright connector like 3 years ago. One answer would be come to ETH Atlanta, because there will be details about how that SAP connection will be, let's say, more officially anchored in the SAP world.
Even before ETH Atlanta, or
even before. And yeah, about the use cases, I mean, you mentioned Naviporta, so EU cross-border tax-related baselining, for example. I mean, that's the beauty of Baseline or Base Ledger as well, that the use cases themselves don't have to be that specific anymore. If we go 3 years back in time, then we had one blockchain project for every use case. I think these times are over, because we already talked about NFTs, we talked about tokenizing invoices. You can just use Base Ledger to baseline them all. And this also holds true for, let's say, cross-border shipment or Coca-Cola or whatever you may think of.
That's a baseline approach, yeah.
License rights of football players. Let's baseline that.
Yeah, but give us 2 or 3 weeks, and then perhaps we can share some more light on that question.
Yeah.
So there's going to be possibly a nice announcement or drop here in a few weeks regarding SAP and you guys. Is that what I'm correct?
Let's just wait. We just do it the old-fashioned, boring Unibright style, and we'll publish the news and not the announcement.
Sounds good. My community is going to be waiting.
Yeah, they'll do that by letting me know 3 or 4 minutes before they want to drop it.
Of course, we can set up a live stream then. This would be fun.
Oh, that would be great. No,
that is how we do it.
That's how they do it.
I'd love to have a live stream set up. I mean, if you guys want to, announce it on the Chico channel. We're always open.
May have heard of that one.
Yeah, you may have heard of that one.
Nick here is a big fan.
We're a fan of it. We're a fan of the work.
Every time you mention anything about Baseline, I get a note immediately from Nick saying, I mean, he must be like watching your channel with his eye peeled, in the corner of his screen.
Well, like everybody, I am a subscriber and I do have notifications turned on. So I get, notified when new content comes. And not only does Chico Crypto do amazing research and have a good stream, I graduated from Chico. So, we are kind of connected. Wildcat Chico. So we're connected to that.
Kudos to Chico. That's true.
Yes. I was a little dismayed the other day when I found out that Chico was born when I was in the dorms way back in pre-dawn era.
I am your father.
You never know. You never know.
He was in Chico. He was in Chico. We do kind of look similar.
I could actually see it.
I know.
Both handsome fellows.
Wow, Nick.
It was a wild time. He was
in Chico when it was crazy. When Chico was ranked the #1 party school in America.
And we're talking about Nick. Okay.
Nick for nothing.
Hey, let me interrupt here the festivities to say, Chico, we want to really tell you that we've been watching your stuff for a while, and every reporter, every journalist, every investigator gets something wrong. I think I caught one thing that you said that was wrong in the whole time I've been watching this stuff, but most of the time you really, really do a good job of investigating, of understanding, and it kind of like Rachel Wolfson, who we're big fans of as well. You get it right, and the story is usually good and reasonable. So thanks for the great coverage. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
and not just on the surface. He peels the onion very well. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's I appreciate that, you guys, because I do put a lot of hard work into my research and my channel. I wake up, I start researching, I don't finish till the afternoon, late afternoon, 3 p.m. So makes me feel great that people are recognizing the work. So appreciate it.
Great work. Thank you very much. Yeah. Shall we call that a wrap, everyone? I saw that Gnome's got some fans out there saying, when Gnome? No, you've been listening here. If you're welcome to have the last word. Again, everybody tune into Samrak Kishore and the Baseline Protocol show on Sunday at 6 p.m. or Saturday 6 p.m. at on India Standard Time (IST). So that's 8:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern for the Baseline show in India. And Nomi, would you like to say anything before we kick off here?
Yeah. Thanks so much, John. Such a great discussion. I was hesitant to jump in, and I didn't want to interrupt anything. First, Base Ledger, amazing work, UBT and Kyle and everyone involved. My company, Morpheus Network, it is a supply chain company. We're a middleware platform, and we've always been very excited about Baseline because it is that middleware protocol. I don't want to take up too much time, but what I will say is that, my interest has always been bringing Baseline to real companies. We work with a lot of companies in the supply chain industry, and I think really overall, that's where we can provide the most value, connecting it with real enterprises today. So super excited to see this new development, Base Ledger, super exciting. And Kyle, I think I'll reach out to you immediately. We're on Slack together, so I'll send you a message about maybe doing some work together on Base Ledger. So well done, everyone. And Chico, great research as always.
Thank you. And actually, before we go, I got a question regarding you, Morpheus Network. So as we know, Base Ledger, Baseline is working with, Coke One, the North American bottlers. I've done research and I've seen that you guys have involvement with, down south of the border. So Coca-Cola, is there any possible, connections between the two, cross, collaboration, Base Ledger integrating with those guys?
That would be called investigative journalism, Noam, and you're probably going to dodge it, but give it a shot.
Yeah, give it a shot.
I'm not going to say you have to wait until ETH Atlanta, but I'll probably be down there. It's a common question, especially with Morpheus Network and Co. Briefly, NDAs are funny things, but what I can say confidently is that one of the top 3 beverage companies in the world is part of our revenue. But that's all.
That's about all you can say.
Yeah.
No worries.
Honestly,
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
The way you want to get, I think a very powerful baselining story that would be powerful for you guys and others is, I would say, if I'm Kyle and I go to, a CIO and I say, hey, baseline your systems of record so you have fewer screw ups between you and your counterparties. That's a pretty good story, and you're going to get the CIO's attention. But if I go to the CEO or the CFO and say, baseline your invoices and I will buy them from you for a ridiculously low price on day one, because I think that they're more likely to get repaid. I think that I'm going to ride the elevator all the way to the top with that CEO.
Yeah. John, you and I have had a couple one-on-one conversations about baselining invoicing. Again, super interesting. And I know you're doing some kind of work in that area, John. And we're on board as soon as that evolves a bit. But I think that's a perfect use case for us.
Right on. Chico Crypto, you got the last word, or shall we call it a day and go out on our favorite song?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to thank all of you guys for having me on the show and, being big fans of the channel, because I'm big fans of all of you, each and every one of you. There's a reason I've talked about each of your projects on my channel is because I found something that, makes my brain go, what? So, again, you guys, I thank you for having me on, and all the viewers, again, things are about to ramp up. Ethereum Enterprise is about to get very, very hot. So stay tuned and come to ETH Atlanta if you can.
All right. And with that, we will take it out. And by the way, I actually reached out to the band, Don't Blink, who makes this our favorite song. And they said it's cool to play it. So I'm going to play it right now. Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Cheers.
Baseline. Bye.